Peace, peace. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Like my whole setup is acting up right now with no sound. Somebody in the chat, let me know if y'all can hear me. Something is going on. I may even. Oh, they said they can hear me. Good. I don't know. I can't hear nothing coming out of my like my background music and nothing. That's why it just went off and it's not playing. All right, good. Y'all can hear me. So let's roll with that. Let's see something else here. Let's roll with that. My setup stuff, it just stopped. All right. All right, peace everybody. Welcome to another Truth Tuesday show with your host, Hakeem, here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. All right, tomorrow is the webinar for the passport and learning how to navigate if you have some IRS debt. So I got some really good solutions for you guys. Hold on, my mic's camera's a little bit off there. I got some really good solutions for you guys to help you if you have that issue, or you know someone else. You can take it to someone else who has the same issue. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago on I think on another Tuesday where I was talking about how they cannot deny you due process when it comes to things. They can't arbitrarily say that that you can't have it without giving you due process. All right, you have to be taken in and go through a court proceeding and say, hey, you owe us this, blah blah blah, and get us a record. I know what the statute says. Oh well, if the secretary certifies you, then that means that it's that statute is saying that the Constitution can be ignored, and that they can't do that. Can't ignore the Constitution. You have a right to due process. You have the right to travel freely. You have a right to worship God freely without interference. As long as your worship of God or your religion doesn't interfere with the rights of others. Anything that you're doing, you have a right to do as long as it doesn't interfere with the rights or harm anyone else. So somebody said hello from New Mexico, Space Miner, peace. So get on that webinar tomorrow. Quite a few got on, signed up for it. I'm going to shut that down later on tonight because it's kind of hard to navigate, set up a webinar and people are buying it the same day. I just can't. It's hard to keep up with that. So if you're going to get on it, I'll put the link in the chat. Right now. Give me 1 second. Give y'all the link. So there's several ways to fix that problem. It's not an end-all be-all because you get certified. A lot of times people get that letter and they do nothing about it. They don't even make a phone call. They just, oh well, and leave it alone. They don't go on their trip. They don't travel. They feel like they're stuck. There's always remedy. There's always recourse in the things that you want to do. Okay? There's no such thing as what they say is the end of the matter. You have to challenge them. That's the issue with us today. We have this tendency to believe because it's a governmental entity, it can't be questioned. Or if you know it can be questioned, you are afraid to question. Or you just don't know how to question. I've shown you guys time and time again how when you send a letter to them asking them to prove these amounts, they never answer you. I've never seen them answer or even give a answer saying, well, this is how we certified these amounts to be correct. They never do that. So an agency that never gives you a good answer as to these amounts, how do they get the right to shut your right to travel down? When they can't even give you the courtesy, say you owe us this and this is how you owe us this, and give you true calculations of how they came up with these numbers. And even if they do give you some calculation, no one ever certifies them as true and correct under penalty of perjury. But however, you have to do that for them. When you send that return in, you're self-certifying for them under penalty of perjury. You see? Under penalty of perjury, you are self-certifying that your stuff is correct, and they can use whatever you say on that return against you. You see? So keep that in mind. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. That music is not playing. Something happened here. So, what are we talking about tonight? Spiritual independence. Coming right out of Reverend Ike's chapter 27. Chapter 27, spiritual independence. A lot of us don't have that. A lot of us rely on other people to give us our spiritual information. It's good to get spiritual enlightenment from different sources that you connect with. But the best spiritual enlightenment that you could ever have is your own inner self, going within to understand, overstand everything about you that's spiritual. See, most of my best answers came from when I was just meditating or I was just laying up, looking at the ceiling, whatever. I had my biggest awareness moments just going within, just reflecting. And I'm telling you, you could have the same awareness moments. But the reason why a lot of people are not having them today is because we have devices that we keep looking at. And after we put them down, I even find myself to put them down. Hey, I'm not going to mess with it. Next, I'm grabbing it again. Those things are spiritual distractions. I remember I took Facebook off my phone for like a good almost 5 years. And then I put it back on my phone a couple of years ago. And I can see the difference in my attention today versus when I had it off. When I didn't have to worry about that, looking at those things are meant to distract you. They're meant to hold you back. To keep you looking at their legacy, their creation. And how they got a bunch of other people creating stuff so you can look at. Now, it's okay to look at that stuff. You want to try to look at things that are building, which is great. But even that, you do too much of that. If I'm constantly looking at my phone, whether it's a spiritual thing or not, I'm being distracted away from myself. So let's get into this. Spiritual independence it says for Independence Day, which is coming up, by Reverend Ike. Steadfast in the liberty with which Christ hath made us free. Stand fast in the liberty with which Christ hath made us free. And be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Galatians 5:1. That's good scripture. Don't be entangled with the yoke of bondage. And we got a lot of yokes around our neck. One big yoke is our miseducation. The second one is The yoke of employment. I know some of y'all don't look at it that way, but the yoke of employment. Going out there working for someone every day. A science of living principle. It is up to the individual to free himself from the negative beliefs and teachings that keep him from acknowledging the divine mind, that keep him from acknowledging the presence and the power of God within. Knowing the presence, the power of God in you will set you free, free from limitation, free to be what you want to be, to do what you want to do, and to have what you want to have. In this ministry, we teach spiritual independence. We teach you not to depend on God in the sky. We teach you not to depend on anybody or anything except your own divine self. We teach you to depend only on the presence and the power of God within. Through the presence and power of God that are within you, you can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do, and you can have what you want to have. You will find that you don't have to wait around for somebody else to give you the good things that you want. Many people are spiritually lazy. Many people don't want to be spiritually independent. They want to put their lives in the hands of somebody else or something else. They would rather depend on somebody or something else than accept responsibility for what they have or for what they don't have. That is true. That's true. A lot of people put their spiritual independence or their spirituality in a church, a pastor. They can't even think without asking a pastor, what do you think I should do? Do y'all realize people like myself, pastors, all of us, we have the same issues you have, the same challenges you have, and we're still trying to figure it out too? Now, I can give you guidance, but really the true guidance comes from you, within you. Your own divine awareness, your own divine or spiritual independence. It comes from you. My message is always going to be, don't look at me. Look at yourself. Go back to you. What do you think is right? Because my answer is gonna be incomplete. Y'all know the feeling. You go up and you ask somebody, you're looking for some answer, and it never quite seems to be fulfilling that answer. It somewhat gets you there, but it's still not whole. It's not complete. You see? It's not complete. Yeah, you go, hey, what do you think it is? And you really looking for them to give you that one thing or that one word or the sentence that can really bring it home for you. And it never happens. You go unfulfilled. You kind of get disappointed. Man, it's just no. First of all, whoever you're asking is dealing with their own spiritual struggles. So right there, they're jaded, they're clouded. See, there's a scripture. How can you take the straw out of your brother's eye when you have a rafter in yours? Now, if you understand what that scripture is saying, that means that on one hand, I cannot fix anyone because I got a big old blockage in my vision. And my blockage is I'm still trying to get it right for myself. I can't see around my own issues. So any information I'm giving you is going to be incomplete. It's not going to be consistent with what you need. That's why I always say the best answer I can give you, go within. Study the words yourself. Read things yourself to kind of give you enhancement. I read stuff like Reverend Ike stuff to remind me of my power. Because sometimes I'll forget. I'll get lost. And stuff like this bring me back. I read these things over and over again. I'll listen to the same recordings over and over again. You will not reach that level of spiritual awareness that you, if that's what you want, without going within. It's a requirement. That's why when Christ went through his trial and tribulation, he meditated alone. He spent time with his boys, but then he went off. Especially when it was the toughest time he got to deal with, he went off. They were supposed to stand guard to protect him from being disturbed. And they fell asleep. Then he went off alone for hours upon hours, being tried and tested, and ultimately being falsely accused and convicted without due process, real due process, without any real witnesses. Isn't it two witnesses is supposed to seal a deal, 2 to 3 witnesses? They didn't even have that. But they still tried him and convicted him. So he had to be spiritually independent in order to even go that far. And that's lies the issue with a lot of us. Even when I try to help people, they want me to talk them through what they have to say. I can give you an idea what you need to say, but all the stuff I give you to say, you can rehearse it all you want. I can guarantee you're going to fumble the ball when you get in front of them people. Every time. That's why you have to trust on what's in you. That scripture says, do not worry about what you will need to say, because I will give you that very word that you need to say in that hour when the time is needed. See, this is why you have to be spiritually independent, because you're going to have to draw on that. And that's a skill. You have to practice that. Being independent of notes, what you wrote down. Because what if all that stuff fails? Somebody burns your stuff. You empty. Because you rely too much on somebody else to give you the word, or something to give you word, instead of coming from within. The best time you're going to deliver anything to anybody is when you come from the heart, from within, from the depths of your soul. When you come from there, that's when people can really hear what you have to say. People can't hear you when you in the books. They really don't hear all that. Like, I read these books, people will forget what I read within 10 seconds after I put it down. But what they will remember is the feeling that they got when I spoke from the heart. And because they remember that feeling, they're going to remember what I said. That's why I like to speak from within. I like to trust what's in me to come out and deliver the message. And you're going to need the spiritual independence, especially if you're trying to reach any type of spiritual heights. Y'all do know that having wealth and leaving legacies behind is a spiritual thing. Somehow we got it mixed up in thinking having money was evil and only evil people could acquire it. Oh, and they use the term favor ain't fair, because they see all of these people that appear to be bad have money. Maybe we're wrong about that. Favor is fair. Favor is fair to those who put in the work. You get shown favor by the work you put in, by your deeds. Everything you're doing right now, every thought, every action is going to return back to you. It's going to pay you back. So check what you're doing right now. Check how you're acting, how you're delivering. What is it giving you? Are you happy with what you're receiving right now? And if you're not happy with what you're receiving right now, then you have to check somewhere along the line. You sold something that brought you back that very thing you don't like. That's real. You're never going to escape your decisions. It may appear like you're getting away with it, and maybe you're prolonging it, but you will reap what you sow. I think the beginning of it, God is not to be mocked. You will reap what you sow. And that's good, bad, or indifferent. You are being rewarded in this moment for everything you've done before. This moment. See, the people that have a problem with that right now are the people that got problems that they're dealing with, and they don't know how to figure out how to get out of it. So they will have a problem with that. Or people who don't want to accept accountability for what they're dealing with will have a problem with that. But people who know how to take accountability for what they have done, they can look at a situation right now and say, man, wow, this ain't what I really enjoy. But I had it coming to me because I formed this thought. I formed this idea. And in this moment, while I was saying, I was thinking back on some things. What thought have I been forming that could be bringing me some issues right now? See, you have to get like that. You got to stop and think. Because that's what happened. A few seconds I got paused. I was reflecting like, is there something going on right now I don't like? And what thought did I form that brought that to me? What was it? But if you really stop and think like that, and you said, man, it'll stop you cold in your tracks, and you will see, because you're asking for the truth. You're asking within you, what is the truth for this matter, and you will see it clearly. Now, what happens is you'll see it clearly, then you'll go into a state of denial, and you start to. Then the ego kicks in and start to formulate excuses. That's why most people find an excuse when they get confronted with their consequences. They'll find an excuse to tell you quick. But before that excuse came, they saw in their mind's eye how they got all of that back. And in that moment, they did what Adam and Eve did when God came a calling. Where are you? And he said, we hid because we were naked. He said, who told you you was naked? That's what that scripture is talking about right there. When you get confronted with your consequences, when you get exposed, you see you did wrong. You see your nakedness, and you hide behind an excuse. Right. The excuse is the cover for you knowing that that this consequence you dealing with right now had everything to do with you and everything. Yes. So whenever I just gave y'all the trick, a little shortcut to understanding and overstanding people when they give you excuses. It ain't no need to argue with them about the excuse they're giving you, because you know now that the excuse is the cover. The excuse is what Adam and Eve did when they went and found clothes and they put it on. That's an excuse to cover up. Those clothes represent the excuse, the not take being accountable, not wanting to be exposed. You see? Do I need to go back to Genesis and read that? We have to. Man, it's so funny how when I get ready to do these presentations, sometimes I'm stuck. Like, man, what am I gonna talk about? They're not. But what happens? I just demonstrated to you guys what you need to do. When you feel like you can't move on and you're stuck, you just move on. You just move. Move with what you know. I didn't know. I flipped to this chapter and said, I'm going to talk about spiritual independence and let the spirit take it where it's going to go. I ain't even finished everything yet. Then I just extrapolated out of that what in the Garden of Eden, them putting on the clothes to cover themselves represented what people do every day when they fall short or if a consequence comes their way that they don't like and they make excuses. The excuse is the covering, is the clothes to cover up the shame of knowing that you jacked up. You see? Now let's keep reading. They don't want self-responsibility. That's what happened to Adam and Eve. They didn't want self-responsibility. God gave them everything but one thing. Let me repeat it. God gave them everything but one thing. So they gave up everything for the one thing. They took the one thing and gave up everything. That was the test. That is the test. Mm-mm-mm. They took something that didn't belong to them. No, this is yours, but this is mine. All of this is yours, but I'm just gonna have this one thing for me. But they allowed bad association, someone who didn't give them anything, to mislead them into. Let me correct that. Eve was deceived and misled. Adam was not. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's why the heavy burden fell on him. Isn't that how we live in the day? The sweat of our brow. We have to make things grow and we have to put in the work. Men have to put in that harder work. That's the decree. Let me speak on that right there. That part where they listen to the voice of someone who didn't create nothing or give them anything over the person that gave them everything but one thing. How many people can really relate to that? Just in this day. How you see people giving up good opportunities and listening to bonehead friends who are just sitting around doing nothing or not even trying to go anything where you trying to go, but you listening to this is where you taking your advice. I literally watch people sit there and they think they have the watch people the dynamics of different friendships. Do y'all know that some people want to be a friend to someone just because they have more and they want to have that feeling of superiority over the person who has less? Because it gives them some power to see them standing over them because maybe they're having financial hardships. They uh, are not doing as well as they are. See, some people will remain a person's friend just for that reason alone. They'll sit there and watch that person suffer over and over again. and barely lift. They are what they call lifting a hand. Is not really lifting a hand. But people have these codependent relationships and they think they got friends when they really got haters. That's why you have to, if you're spiritually intact and spiritually sound, you will notice these haters. That see, most haters come under the guise of friends. Yeah. They come with to shake your hand. They come with the kiss. Like Judas, right? Judas came with a hug and a kiss. That's an example of for us today to realize that. Some of y'all are sitting in the midst of people who really want you to do bad deep down in their heart. They could care less whether you survive or you make it. They are happiest when you are having struggle. And these are the people you're picking up the phone and you're telling your problems to. And then on top of that, the people that could really help you, that will not allow you to sit there and tell these bold stories all the time, that will help you find a solution. Let's do something about it. What do we need to do? See, the person that's going to help you out, the real person going to help you out, they're going to hold you accountable and say, yeah, we can get out of this. They're going to make you work for it. Remember the woman with the oil jars? She came to the prophet and said, what do you have in your house? And she had some jars, and he told her what to do. She had to put in work to get out of her debt. He didn't just press a button and fix it. He said, okay, you got this problem? Okay, go take what you have and do this. See, a person who is really looking out for himself, okay, what knowledge do you have? What can you use? Okay, let's use that and let's make some money. But no, most people just want you to plug in by giving them some money to fix their problems. And that's why they have these codependent relationships with people that really don't really want to do them well, because they'll sit there and listen to these conversations instead of giving them real solutions. So let's go back to the book. I'm way off. But I said to you, as long as you depend on anybody or anything else to give you the things you need, you're not free. So as long as you're depending on somebody to give you a job, you're not free. As long as you make somebody else or something else responsible for your experience in life, you're not free. You're a slave. And that's why I don't agree with the welfare system in the USA. Welfare keeps people from achieving self-responsibility. It is modern day slavery. That is a fact. Because it's that system that has allowed people to totally disregard even trying to maintain a family. Because what has become the family? The state has become the head of the household. So what do I need a man, whoever in there, if I can go get it from here? And this and has proliferated our entire country. These types of programs. Oh, you got to give to the needy. Yes, you do. But the biggest thing you can give to the needy is knowledge of how to take care of themselves. That's what he told her. Go do such and such. And it took care of problems. She followed directions. She had to put in work. He didn't just hand her something. Because he knew once she put in the work, her hands would be blessed and she was going to get what she needed. The power within you. Each one has the power within to be independent, to be self-reliant. And what I'm saying now comes back to the one thing I'm always talking about, self-awareness. Know that the presence of God is within you. Know that the power of God is within you. Know the truth about who and what you are in God and who and what God is in you. Knowing this truth will set you free. Mm. That was once you know the power of God within you, it will set you free because once you have that awareness, you will realize how powerful you are, how much you don't need that 9 to 5. You just made yourself believe that you could transform your way of making money overnight. It is possible. You can do it. I don't teach that I have some kind of power that other people don't have. Whatever power you think I have, the power is also within you. That's true. But some people would have you think that they have some special privilege with God. Man, let me stop right there. Some people will have you think that they have some special privilege with God. And that was my problem with churches and just organized religion in general. The preacher, the pastor, make you think he got some special preference, some special power. No, I don't have any special powers. I get kind of insulted when people try to say, no, let me make this clear. I have special powers, but my special powers are the same special powers you have. We all have the same special powers. We all have the ability to do the same thing. What I mean by that, we have the ability to use our thoughts to generate and create positive outcomes. Because we are using our thoughts to create outcomes, but are they positive? Are they what we want? We just kind of letting our thoughts rage out of control, untrained. It's amazing how we'll try to teach our children. I got a dog. Train a dog to follow our commands, and we won't even train our mind to follow our commands. We won't even deliberately take our thoughts and place it in places where it needs to be. And even in the mere thought of someone bringing that up to you, oh man, you got to control your thinking. You get upset. No, I am controlling. No, you're not. Why? Because we have been trained from a baby not to think for ourselves. Everyone is telling us, everybody told us our name, what time of the day we was born, the day we was born, everything, all of our information, if you really look at it, came from somewhere else without real proof, other than what they said. Even the whole concept of God came from somewhere else. That you're gonna go to heaven, hell, all that came from somewhere else. This book and the Bible were published in publishing houses on printing presses by men. Ain't that something to think about? And they have copyrights on it. They don't say copyrighted by God. Now, I know I use the Bible a lot because there's good sound principles in there. And one of the main reasons I use it because of the governments use it. And they say, excuse me, they say I have the right to use it to protect my freedoms. And that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Everything we got, every information came from somewhere else. And with all of these billions of distractions out there, trillions of distractions out there, you're just one mind, one consciousness up against all of that. How can you not be influenced by anyone else? You do, let's do that. Let's do this. I'm looking for something. Where is it? It says in Ephesians 6:12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. It's funny they said evil in the heavenly realms. Isn't God supposed to be up in heaven? But that wasn't the purpose of me reading that. I'm showing you your consciousness, your one consciousness is up against billions, trillions of consciousnesses that are, for the most part, contrary to what you are trying to achieve. That's what that's talking about. That's what you're up against. So how can you afford not to take what I'm saying seriously? So that means you need to protect your thoughts at all costs. That means the music, the friends, the conversations you're having, you need to protect them at all costs. Television programming, they need to be protected at all costs because you already got an army against you when it comes to adversarial thinking. So with all of that trying to flood its way into your consciousness and override your God-given power, your God spirituality within you, we don't have time or the chance. We can't take chances. We can't take chances. I mean, sometimes I get criticized because I'd say, "Hey, I don't want to listen. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to do this." And I watch different things that I know I shouldn't watch. I'm gonna say probably I shouldn't watch at times. I indulge, but maybe that's part of what could be slowing that definitely could be slowing me down for sure. Just that one little thing I'm holding on to. Something to think about. Okay, where am I? Whatever power you think I have, the power is also in you. But some people would have you think that they have some special privilege with God. Don't you ever believe anyone who tells you that he has some gift from God that you don't have. God does not have any favorite people. Didn't I tell you that? Favor is fair to those that know. And anybody who thinks he is holier than thou, stay away from that person. Don't associate with that kind of person. And we have those type of holier than thou peoples on certain levels. Some of them come in the form as preachers. Some of them come in forms of friends who think the way their lifestyle is better than yours. And they kind of look down on you and mock you, criticize you. See, that's a holier than thou attitude. You should not look down on other people's lifestyle. Now, there's certain lifestyles I'm not going to participate in. But at the same time, I'm not going to look down on people because I realized at some point I might have been in the same mindset some time ago. Some people think that Jesus could do such healing work and could perform such miracles because God had given him special powers. God didn't give Jesus. Okay, where was I? God didn't give Jesus anything he didn't give to you. The only difference between Jesus and you is consciousness or self-awareness. Jesus was always saying, the Father in me, he doeth the work. John 14:10. He also said to his disciples, greater works you will do. He wasn't just talking, that wasn't just for them. Same thing with you. Greater things you will do. You just have to believe and know that you can do them. Jesus was aware of his oneness with God. Jesus was aware that the Father was with him. His knowledge of the presence and power of God within him, his faith and belief in God in him was the secret of his power. This was the source of the power. It is the presence and power of God within you that communicate with when you pray for good you desire. It is only the God presence, the God power within you that works for you to bring about whatever good you want. That's why in this ministry, when we pray, we point to ourselves and say, the presence and the power of God are in me. The presence and the power of God in me do the work. A poet named Retsima wrote, I at last have reached the goal and solved the mystery of my soul. I am that to which I prayed, that to which I looked for aid. I am that which I did seek. I am my own mountain peak. If you are looking for a God in the sky to depend on, if you are looking for a God outside of you to help you, forget it. God is within you. And when you discover God, you will discover him within your own being. Some people spend their entire lives praying for God's will. People say to me, Rev Ike, I want to come to your services and I'll be there Sunday if it's the Lord's will. I tell them, if it's your will, you'll be there. Those of you who are seeking the will of God outside of you should know the truth. There is no will of God outside of you to impose itself on you. There is no God outside of you that decides what your experience in life will be. Whatever happens in your life is decided by your own state of mind. You are the one who decides whether or not you are going to be independent, self-sufficient person. You are the one who decides whether or not you are going to be free, free to be what you want to be, to do what you want to do, and to have what you want to have. That's right. You decide. You decide. Spiritual independence starts with you making a decision to know that God resides in with you. There's no God in the sky to get answers from. All answers he gave you. When he created Adam and Eve, he gave them all the answers. He gave them. How do I know he gave them all the answers? First of all, he told Adam, here, name all the animals. He didn't give them names to name. He said, here, you take this and you name all the animals. Why did he know that Adam could handle all of that? Because he was programmed and built to make his own decisions. Why did he even give him that commission? Because he's the one. This is yours. This is your place. You take control. You handle this. You name these animals, all of these things. You give it names. God could have just as easy as said, these are the names I want you to have for that. Thank you. Somebody did, man, thank you. $10 donation from Theoretically God. We are to all shine our light on a mountain, not hide under a 9 to 5. Absolutely. I'm gonna leave that up there. Thanks for donating to the ministry, my brother. You shall be blessed. You shall receive 20-fold what you gave. See? It's we y'all going to church all these years and no one ever told y'all this. Like, he gave it was right in our face the whole time. He gave him the commission to do that job because he had everything he needed. He didn't need God to give him them answers. God had made one request: don't touch that tree. That's it. Be fruitful and become many, become abundant, become blessed, become multiply, become prosperous, be happy, be joyful. He didn't say be sad and upset. No. We give ourselves sadness and depression by our self-doubt. Sadness and depression, any type of bad feeling that you have, comes from one place and one place alone: the lack of knowing your true power and divinity. Because if you knew your true power, you would be unmoved like Christ was when he knew they were coming to get him, when other things was happening, when they didn't have food, when Lazarus lay dead in the tomb and they were crying, and he was like, he cried. He wept a little bit because why? Because he knew what he was about to do. They just didn't understand that they had the power to. They didn't need him to do it. They need Christ to raise them up. They could have done it. But Christ remained for a little while just to show people it was guess what? Guess what the whole 3 years was for? It was a 3 year lesson to everybody he was exposed to on how to accomplish what he had accomplished. It wasn't it wasn't really about him dying and forgiving sins. It was about him showing you how to forgive your own sin. No, I need him to, I need Christ to forgive my sins. No, it was about you learning what he did so that you can forgive yourself. There's no forgiveness of Christ will benefit you if you have not forgiven yourself for all of the wrong you have committed to yourself. And really, you only committed one wrong. You've only committed one sin. And that sin is this: not knowing your true power, your true divinity of yourself. Everything else is just a symptom of that one thing. It's not long and complicated list of sins. Because you stole that, because you slept with somebody, because you cheated on, those are all symptoms. That's the result of not knowing who you are and your power, that you don't need external forces to fix you. You are what you call a self-regenerating, self-healing being, spiritual being. Yes, you have all the power there. Just like, do y'all know, even in the physical form, your body can heal itself? Science have already figured out under the right conditions, you can actually grow your limbs back. But we're so poisoned with all kind of processed foods, our body is not operating right. We're not drinking enough water, and drinking enough water is not even enough. You need salt to go with that water. You need salt in your body. Also, you can drink as much water you want, but if you don't have enough salt in your diet, your body is not going to function. Your electrical impulses will not fire properly. The current in your body will operate in a dysfunctional way. But your body will do everything for you if you give it the right things. You see? See, my screen freezing up here. You have the power. There's only, we go to movies to see superhero movies to see, watch things. Oh, that guy got power. I wish I had that. No, you got a bigger power. Your power is way more bigger than any superhero that they put on that screen. Where do you think the ideas come from of these superheroes? What do you think? You think we just thought up these fantasies because we think them up? They're just fantasies. They're not fantasy. They're actually real life. What's that word? Biographies, or what do you call? What they do? They're real life documentaries. Those movies are not fantasy. They're documentaries. And they throw fantasy with it. They throw truth with fiction. Especially if you ever get a chance, go see that new Guardians of the Galaxy. It'll show you. Yeah. And tell you the truth, those movies can only show you a limited amount of power that you really have. They just scratch the surface. It looks big because you don't see that happening. I think it was somewhere last week, I was talking about how these machines are picking up our thoughts and giving them back to us by way of advertisement. You can just think about something, it just pop up. I was thinking about people I hadn't seen on Facebook in a while. And guess what? They showed up the next day. All of them in my feed. All the people that I had thought about showed up in my feed. I didn't say anything. Oh, I didn't see this guy. And they just showed up like they never was gone. So they realize and they know your power. They're tapping into it through technology. Do you realize, like they said, The Matrix is a documentary. You are being harnessed. Your true power is being harnessed. And you are being limited in a little capsule. Your power is being restricted by this matrix. And the matrix is simply, it really doesn't have any walls. The matrix does not have walls. It's not a little box. The matrix is simply your belief in the system. Your ideas is the matrix that you're trying to undo. Your ideas, the box in your mind, is what you're trying to unravel. Your ideas. Okay? Your ideas. That's the matrix. That's the true matrix. Because if you look at Neo, he was mentally, he had to believe first that he could jump that building, right? Even though he knew a lot of stuff wasn't real, he still was blocked. So Neo represented the true power that every man and woman can have. Although the movie made it, restricted it down. Oh, Morpheus believed in. See, Morpheus, although he was a protagonist character, he was teaching restriction. Because he said only this one guy can do this. Instead of promoting the idea that all can do that. So who was the real hero in the movie? Neo was not the real hero. The agent was. Because the agent was about to bring down the whole system. And what did he do? He gave his power to other people to do the same thing he could do. Oh, ain't that a mind twist? See, Neo was teaching. The whole story of Neo was what organized religion is today. They believe in one power, and only that person has the power, and everybody else have to look for him for saving. Go back and watch that movie again. Y'all watch it with a different lens. The agent was the true protagonist. Although they made you want to see the antagonist and him as the enemy. He was the truth. Because what happened to him? He was a part of the system. And then he got a taste of Neo. Neo went into him and he really received this. He was freed. He was delivered. He said it. But he took it a step further. He took it a step further. Oh, I got this freedom, but hey, I'm gonna shut everything down, and I'm gonna make these other guys. Everybody he came in contact with, he made them like him. Made them like him. Made them like. See, that's the trick. Organized religion wants you to look at this one man as having the only power. When the Bible says you would have the power he had, he said it to his disciples. See, we're supposed to realize this is what I'm doing. I realize my power within me, and I'm trying to show you have the same power and can even do better than me. That's the true message. To infect other people with the idea that they have the same power and can be more powerful. Okay, if you don't believe me, what does the government do to anybody that try to free the minds of people? Talk against them. They shut them down. They bring down their platforms. They can't have them talk. No, because then they no longer exist. Long as people are still holding on to the old traditions of religion, they will never see that. The long as people, when I say religion, I'm not talking about Bible religion. I'm talking about the religion of going to jobs 9 to 5. Do y'all realize that's a religion? That is the cult. That is the scheme. Don't y'all realize that y'all practicing a religion every day to get up at a 9 to 5? That's a religion. Why? Most of the world is conducting that religion, practicing that. And the ones who realize that that's not the way, they break free and they live in free, able to go where they want, have as much money as they have. Too much, in some eyes, too much money. And then the ones that are part of the religion become judgmental against them. Oh, they evil. They trying to do this and they trying to poison us. They trying to do this. They see all that stuff that Bill Gates, vaccination, all that stuff is distractions. I don't pay attention to a damn thing what Bill Gates is doing and whoever scheme that they trying to do, because if I knew the power within me, they can't affect me. A 9 to 5 is a religion. And they practice that religion on your children from the day they come out the womb. Get them prepared to go to school. That's a religion. Why? They get up and they do their ritual. I pledge allegiance to the flag, united with blah, 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 blah. Listen to the teacher, no matter if they're wrong or not. Listen to this low-paid teacher to teach you how to be prosperous. Giving you anti-prosperous messages. Religion. Politics, another religion. Believe that the president's going to fix all your problems. And none of them, not one of them has ever fixed the problem. They made them worse. You see? This whole system, the system is not the matrix. Your thinking is the matrix. You are inflicting the matrix on yourself by your thoughts. That's a hell of a realization to come to. Realize where the matrix really is. Y'all trying to look for the matrix all over. Let me prove my point that the matrix is your own mind. Everything you see it in the minds first. You perceive it here. It's not physical. It's here. You see it. Whatever you hold on to, you see it. The limiting thoughts about your finances, you see it. I ain't got no money. You see it. That's a matrix. I can't get nothing right. Matrix. See, Morpheus actually told you what the matrix was. He said it's all around you. When you pay your taxes. What does that mean when he said when you he made it specific, when you pay your taxes? Your idea and belief in it, that is required of you. I wish I had that little clip to break that down. They go through everything he said in that message. Everything he said in that message. I think I do have it somewhere. They probably, if I played that, I have to play that in a private. One day I'll just do a private teaching on that. When he broke that down, when he was explaining the matrix to Neo, he showed you really it was a concept. It was a mental concept. It was a form of consciousness. See, consciousness is formless and it takes on many forms at the same time. What you perceive and believe is what you achieve. So once you realize that everyone has his own individualized matrix residing inside of their consciousness based off what? What they were programmed to believe at a very early age, from age 0 to 7. And everything else is the what? Performing the program. And the only way to undo a program is to create another program. So, with that being said, if you want to undo all of this bad program, you got to become a whole new person. That person that identified with brokenness yesterday can't be the same person today that identifies with it in order to get out of the brokenness. You can never identify with what you don't want to have. You have to only identify with what you want to see happen. And that's so easy to get caught up in. Especially, I know where I go wrong. If I'm dealing with someone else and they acting a fool, I identify with the fool in them. And I shouldn't do that. I need to only identify with the divine person. That's it. We should only identify with the most divine nature of that person. Because in some way, if we keep identifying with that part of them, we're going to encourage that behavior. And that was the realization I had when I was teaching this earlier. And I stopped and I took a pause. I was rewinding some stuff in my head where I had that very situation that I got to go back and correct. So I love these talks because I tell y'all, these teachings is really for me. I'm just letting y'all listen to me talk to myself. They're for me. They're for me to listen to and work them out. I work out most of my problems by sitting up here getting on this show and talking to y'all. I suggest y'all do the same. Start talking to yourself. Start talking out loud. I just start talking. Start preaching to yourself. Because I solve 99.9% of my problems just by having this type of conversation. Man. What's the time? 8:27 p.m. I'm not even tired yet. Y'all want me to keep going? Or y'all want me to shut up? Which one? Lips are getting a little dry, parched. I don't even have my drink up here. I'm just flowing. Without a drink, I'm coming up empty with no drink. Man. I don't see nobody saying nothing in the chat. Man, I appreciate the brother who donated. I really appreciate that. It'd be nice. Oh, you know what? Put my banner. There's other ways y'all could donate here. Donate to the ministry. This stuff costs money. Of course, buddy. I got, but I'm gonna keep it going. I see my son is on Telegram. He's the first person I have to call because I am guilty of not identifying with his divine nature. See, we do this with our children. We get on their case, we'll say all kind of crazy stuff because they're our children. Feel like we have the right to do that. But we don't. And that's what I was stopping myself. You know what? I had to correct that. I'm glad he's listening. We're gonna have a talk when we get off. See, that's another thing that really will make the difference in your life when you be accountable for things that's going on with you. That is freedom. That's true freedom. When you can see what you've done and what you didn't do, you can see that live and be able to express that. See, I don't have a problem expressing where I go wrong or I screw up. Now, sometimes I get caught up in a moment and I don't want to face it, but when I do face it, I feel free. And you'll feel free too. Once you walk down this path, I always say it's a lonely path, but it really isn't lonely because I'm never lonely. I never feel that feeling of loneliness. Now, this time I want company, I want camaraderie and friends, but if I don't have it, I self entertain myself with reading things, doing things. I could do it. It's lonely from the perspective that majority of your time you're going to be spending self-reflecting because you realize that you don't have time to mix your consciousness up with others when you have a mission to fulfill. See, the reason why a lot of us are lost and out there is because we know we got a mission, but what is the mission? Well, I'll give you a hint. The first mission is accountability, self-elevation. That's your first mission. And from that, you'll see the other purpose. Because as you grow and you elevate, people are going to see that power in you and they're going to be drawn to you. And they're going to want to hear more. Like Christ, remember he was speaking, people was like, man, who is this man who speaks with such power and authority? Scribes and Pharisees didn't have that power because they were coming from a place of emptiness, a place of vainness, fakeness, corrupt. Those types of entities or people use intimidation. And they use intimidation. Well, if you don't listen to me, God gonna kill you. That's what they use. That's why the church uses that as a tactic, because they intimidate you into coming to church. Let's be real. Most of us never went to church because we really wanted to be there. We went there because we was intimidated. We was forced, especially as children. Then when you get older, that program is so deep in you. Well, I'm going to go just in case I want to go to heaven. See, that type of religion is intimidation. Isn't that the same thing the government do to you? You better get your driver's license. I'm going to arrest you. Pay your taxes so you go to jail. That's why I say it's all a religion, because they all have the same characteristics. They all look for you to look outside of you for education. They all look for you to outside of you for leadership. That's politics. They all look to you to look outside of you for a God to worship. That's religion. So they all the same thing. They're all false religion. And the reason why I say it's all false religion, because so many people, well, there's a scripture that supports what I just said. Broad and spacious is the road that leads off to destruction. Cramped and narrow is the low road that leads off to righteousness. Why is the road to righteousness cramped and narrow? It's not like because it's not like there's a lot of people on it. It's cramped and narrow because the matrix of your mind can trip you up at any time. And you be over there with the other foe. Because it's easy to misstep and go this way or that way and be off the road. You could be thinking you on the road and you not. You're over there. That's why, and it's cramped and narrow because in that road, you have to pay attention to every step you make, every thought you take or think. You have to pay attention because you know, as soon as you take your mind off that thought or off of that, you could be on the other road. As soon as you get distracted, that's why it's cramped and narrow. Yeah, he said, somebody said the etymology of religion means bind and reverend means fear. Oh, 8:35. Woo. All right. Yeah, I'm growing this beard. I'm getting a lot of good comments about it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Those who like it. Sometimes, yeah, I was very close to cutting it off today. Like I was supposed to go down there, clean up my face. I didn't. I got distracted and I left it alone. It's a little scruffy. But appreciate all the comments. Thank you. All right, 8:35. I think I'm gonna call it a night for the night. That's it. Think I gave y'all a lot to unpack. Hopefully, I know someone's gonna hold on to this and know and start using their true power. And with that being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all.